17 minutes. I've never seen this count before.
And it says we're going here?
Yeah.
Why don't you just refresh that? It started streaming. Yeah, I think we're on. Good morning, everybody. We were getting some strange feedback from YouTube. Hopefully everyone is out there seeing us. I think we've got it worked out. So yeah, good morning. Welcome to Half and Half. We're glad to be here. Always glad to be here. And also we know that things are kind of sad right now. It's a lot of difficulty in the country. And a lot of strong emotions tend to go with that. A lot of us end up feeling a little overwhelmed with sadness or anger or confusion, maybe helplessness. I think there's lots of ways that people might feel, and you might feel all those things. So yeah, I mean, what we know how to do, what we our skill is to be in the body, and emotion has a lot to do with that. And how do you stay in your body through strong emotions? How do you use movement to, yeah, just kind of still be where you are? And with that in mind, I think that I'll start with breath, and we'll see where we go from there. So let's do that. We're going to go onto your back. And just kind of settling in, knees bent, feet flat. And as you breathe, notice if there's any place that's a little tense as you breathe. That's pretty common for all of us when we have stress. And a lot of us have stress for many reasons all the time. But when stress gets heightened, a lot of times it'll show up as tension somewhere. As you're trying to breathe, maybe your neck gets really tense and doesn't really let go on the inhale or the exhale, or maybe it's your back, or maybe it's a real tightness in your chest. And so the first thing is just to kind of breathe and notice if you get a sense of movement on the full inhale and the full exhale. And not really forcing movement anywhere, but just observing if there's a place that's stiff or stuck. And it's almost like a gentle nudge. Each time you take the next breath, you just see if there's a little, like, potential for a little more movement. If it's your neck that's holding, then maybe you have a little more release on the exhale. If it's your chest that feels stiff, maybe it moves a little more on the inhale or more on the exhale. And on the flip side of that, sometimes it doesn't. You start observing the breath, and you kind of gently say, oh, could I get a little more exhale or could I get a little more inhale? Sometimes the answer really is no. It just feels stiff. It just feels stuck. And what's useful for me in that situation is the image of just being with that resistance, not ignoring it, not trying to force it to move, but just kind of going in and saying, well, okay, that just doesn't move, and I'm going to hang out here and just see. Maybe a minute from now it'll move, maybe it won't. It's not really an agenda, it's just kind of being with it a little bit. And however things show up for you in your body, I find this process of just becoming more aware makes me feel a little more grounded, a little more sense of where my body is and how it feels. Makes me feel more connected, a little more grounded and in the floor. So let's take your hands behind your head and just keep going with that sensibility. So as you exhale, you're going to add in bringing your head off the floor. And then do a full breath. And as you exhale, you might bring your head a little higher, lowering down with the next breath. And we'll work with that cycle a few times. So the exhale, we add in head coming up, leaving it up there. Take another breath cycle. And let the breath ground you. Let your awareness bring you into your body a little more. And with the head up, full breath cycle. Let's take one more of those. And then leaving your head up next time you get there, or bringing your head up again. Let's reach your arms forward. And as your arms come forward, you might come up just a little higher. Now, option to keep your feet on the mat, to bring them to tabletop, or to reach them out. We'll start the 100, breathing for 5, inhaling for 5, exhaling for 5. And that's really all your goal is. Inhale 5 pumps, exhale 5 pumps, and let things move with the breath. If your head gets tired, your neck gets tired, you take it down, and you keep your breath moving. Keep your arms moving. We'll do about 4 more of these. And last one. And then resting your head and bring your knees in. And then however is comfortable for you, bring yourself up to sitting. So we'll take both legs out, flexing your feet and keeping your knees a little bit bent, and feet about hip distance apart. And sometimes I teach this legs together, and sometimes I teach it hip distance apart. And they give you different things, but I like doing hip distance apart if I feel like there's more tension in my back, or just kind of held tension in general. So that's where we're going to go today. We're going to do feet hip distance apart and round spine, sitting back behind your sits bones. I have my hands on my knees now. My arms are kind of long. You might find it more comfortable to have your hands behind your knees, but give yourself a little support with your arms for a moment And just see if you can just kind of gently let the upper back open and the back of the ribs open and the sternum soften. A sense of like your lungs get a little softer in your rib cage, your heart gets a little softer in your rib cage. Everything through the front body gets a little softer so the back body can open up a little more. And then we'll start walking your hands down your legs. One hand at a time. Use a little work in your arms to hold yourself until you get back to that sort of 100 place. And then with an exhale, soften the chest. Use your belly, use your hands. Work your way back up where you started. So pretty gently, just like that. And feel what it's like to use your hands. Sometimes we rush forward into not using the hands. And usually, if we're honest, we're doing that because we want to do the harder thing and we want to get the most out of the workout. It's not a bad motivation, but you are kind of missing another way of doing it. And it is really nice to do it sometimes with a little bit of support from the hands, which allows you to go a little deeper and let the spine open a little more. It allows you to isolate certain places deep in your center a little more. And it allows you to let go of tension in places you don't want it. So I actually feel some work in my arms. And it's really helpful. I'm going to take one more and let it take you all the way to the mat until you're lying on your back. And then letting your legs relax. Letting your upper back relax. And take a moment here, just like we did at the beginning, observe your breath. What do things feel like in your body? How are things moving with the inhale, with the exhale? And allowing that to give you a deeper sense of awareness and groundedness. And then keeping that sensibility, right leg comes in, you hold the back of the thigh. We're going to go up and down with your leg. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, bending your knee. Now, one thing that can be hard in this right here is when my leg reaches up, often the rest of my body wants to follow. The straighter my leg gets, the more my chest kind of tenses up and lifts out of the floor. My pelvis wants to lift out of the floor. And what the goal is really is some balance. So my body's really grounded, it's really relaxed. As the leg floats up, can my body keep being grounded? Can my pelvis stay heavy and my chest stay relaxed? And then I reach the edge of that and I can inch just a little more, like, okay, my leg gets the tiniest bit straighter, my chest gets the tiniest bit more relaxed at the same time. The next time the leg goes up, you're going to leave it there. Just do a couple breaths with the leg up. And then let's add in a little flex and point with the foot. Then leaving your toes pointing up towards the ceiling, hands come away and down by your side. Start some leg circles. Leg circles are still a breathing exercise. You inhale as you start, you exhale, you circle around. Inhale over to the left, exhale, around and up. The same principle I was talking about before. As my leg goes down, my chest wants to go up. As my leg comes up, my pelvis wants to come up. My goal is really just to let my torso stay where it is. I'm going to start the other direction. Same circle, other way. As my leg moves, just leave everything on the mat. Everything else on the mat. 2 more breath cycles, which is 2 more circles. And then resting your right leg on the floor. Take a moment with everything down again. Nice heavy body. Sometimes Scott accuses me of becoming super flat, which happens. I just get like totally flat in the floor. So let yourself be flat. And then leaving all that, left leg comes in. And then we start a breath movement exercise with the leg going up on the inhale, down on the exhale. And as the leg goes up, chest can soften. Your weight can drop down. And then leaving your leg up. Couple breaths, and that's it. You just leave the leg where it is. Take a couple breaths. How's that moving? And then move the foot around a little bit. Flex and point. And then leaving the toes pointed up to the ceiling. Hands come by your side. We start a circle over to the right. Exhale, around and back up to center. Inhale is the beginning. Exhale is the second half. One more of these. And then same circle in the other direction. And 2 more of those. And then resting your left leg down. And a couple breaths on your back here. And then again, however is comfortable for you, find a way up to sitting. I often like to do a roll up to sitting like I just did. And then we'll flip over onto your stomach, lying on your stomach. And then hands under your forehead. So I'm going to keep my head up if you happen to be looking at the screen, but that's just so I can talk more easily. You can go ahead and put your hands on your forehead. You don't have to have your head lifted. And one thing I appreciate about being on my stomach is that I have spent many years in classes relaxing and feeling my body while I'm lying on my back, and I really like that. And at some point, recently I was like, well, I could do the same thing on my stomach. Like, what's it like to feel the front of my body? Um, I think I have this assumption because I see the front of my body a lot. I know what it feels like. And to some degree, that's true. But also to actually feel my front body in the floor um, settles a lot of tension sometimes. So we're going to take a moment with that idea. I'm feeling the tops of the thighs in the floor, which often can be very tight. If you've done yoga, which a lot of you guys have, um, you know Shavasana is typically done on your back, and you do this sort of sense of weight and relaxation in the muscles very often in that. So with the fronts of the thighs, you could take that same feeling, like, can they spread out a little bit? Can they be a little deeper? Maybe they could be a little flatter in the floor. And your thigh bones could drop down towards your quadricep muscles and help them release. And then probably there's some sense of the belly on the floor. If everything's relaxed, you feel that skin surface. Sometimes the lower ribs are really pushed into the floor when you're lying on your stomach. That's really common. And the chest is kind of lifted up out of the floor. The collarbones are kind of lifted up out of the floor. So you could change that a little bit. Think of the chest sinking a little more, the collarbones sinking a little more. The lower ribs maybe aren't pushing so heavily into the floor. And that usually makes my elbows spread out a little more. Sometimes my hands want to adjust a little bit. And then my forehead seems to get a little heavier on my hands too. Now, with that feeling, see if you could only change your abdominals, your stomach. Instead of leaving it fully relaxed, you just bring a little bit of tone into the abdominals. You let them float up, maybe off your shirt a little bit. They're pulling away from your t-shirt. But everything else, thighs are heavy, chest is heavy. And with that little bit of tone in your belly, start to reach your right leg a little longer. Let it come just a tiny bit off the floor, but imagine your quads are still really loose. And that little bit of tone in your belly. Lower your right leg to the mat. Same thing with the left leg. Exploring what that's like. Can I leave the chest heavy and the elbows wide? Little tone in the belly. Not immediately grabbing the quads to lift. Imagine they kind of stay a little soft on the front. And alternating right and left a few times. As the right leg comes up, can the left leg stay pretty grounded? Can you keep your neck and shoulders relaxed? Last time. And then both legs on the floor. And again, leaving pretty much everything as it is. You're going to slide your hands out. Take them kind of wide. Hands maybe right off your mat if you have a mat. If you don't, kind of imagining how wide that would be. And my hands are kind of on the same line as my ears. So they're a little bit higher than my shoulders. My elbows are a little bit off the floor. And then still a little tone in the belly, a little support from the belly. Coming up with the head and the chest. And as soon as the chest comes off the floor and my hands want to push, that's when I want to feel a little more support from the abdominals. And if it feels okay in your lower back, you could push up higher. Same abdominal support as you lower. So let's take a couple of those and you decide how high you come. If you stay a little lower, the arms don't need to work so much. If you come a little higher, you want to make sure you got some support, more support from the abdominals. And of course, some work in the arms start to happen. Exhale, softens your chest, and draws your belly in. And then slide your hands under your shoulders and push back towards child's pose. And then where you are, you can bring your hands back by your legs and tuck your toes under. So you come into a ball and then into a forward bend. And then bending your knees, let your pelvis sink down. And then start to unroll your spine until you're all the way back to standing. So we spent some time feeling the back body and the groundedness through there. We spent time feeling the front body. We've got this moment now where we could feel the feet and how they land in the ground. And then we also spent some time feeling the breath. So there are all these sort of ways to kind of come into the body and notice how things are moving. We're going to play a little bit with rolling down and rolling up, finding the feet really landed, but also like how is the whole body, how are you in your body right now? How is it moving? How does the breath help with that? How does a sense of openness and ease play into it in the back body and the front body? And ease doesn't necessarily mean you're not working. I would associate ease more with not overly efforting something, not gripping. So there is an ease of movement, an ability to move. That doesn't mean the muscles don't have to work to create some movement. So just working with sequencing through the spine, rolling all the way down, one vertebra at a time. And letting your head hang as you get down. And then to come up, letting your knees bend, your hips drop, feeling how the feet can push a little bit into the ground. And that's going to help motivate me to come back up as the feet push down. Let's do one more or finish up the one you're on. And once you come to standing, just like we did lying on your back, take a moment and feel your breath. How's that feel in the standing position? And Scott and I are going to switch out. He's going to come in and take over from here. But if you'd like, you can just kind of stay with this feeling of finding your breath.
So I'm going to continue with that theme of feeling your body. Taking your feet, stepping them apart, and then turning your legs a little bit out. Then with the exhale, bending. Inhale, coming up. I'm going to go up and down like that a few times. What I teach, I like to summarize as embody, align, breathe. So when the focus is alignment, there's focus on technique to help realign places that may be perhaps injured or a little bit achy or sore. This morning's focus will be the embody part. Because as Colette mentioned, working with feelings, working with emotions can be done through the body. So next time you're here, pausing here. So there's dorsiflexion in the ankles, flexion in the hips, flexion in the knees. Then bring your hands into prayer position. Especially those of us who've done a lot of yoga, very often we get here and think, okay, what should I do now? What's the right way to do it, the proper alignment? Best you can, let those feelings fall away, those thoughts fall away. And simply feeling whatever you may feel. For example, I'm starting to feel my thigh muscles talking to me a bit. My left knee is talking to me a little bit. I'm not trying to make that feeling go away. Simply acknowledging it. Couple of breaths here. Maybe this is what you're feeling. Some of those feelings may be different ones. And with the inhale coming up, turning back to the front and then stepping your feet toward each other. We're going to take a partial sun salutation. With the exhale, sweep your arms up. Let your chin float up too. And then with the inhale, folding forward. Perfectly okay to bend your knees. Let your head hang. And once again, a quality of curiosity. Rather than what should I be doing, what am I experiencing? And in that open-ended question, what am I experiencing? What am I feeling? Resides embodiment. So now let's take a different movement. Exhale, stretch the crown of your head forward. Maybe this feels similar to what you just did, maybe a little bit different. A couple more breaths here, feeling whatever you feel. Then with the inhale, again, folding. Exhale, coming all the way up. Inhale, arms down. The big old wide stride again. Turn your left foot in, turn your right foot out. With the exhale, taking your knees straight out toward the side. And bring your hands then to prayer position. So if we stay here long enough is that oftentimes within a few seconds, sensations arise. They become present. So whatever you may feel, whether it's your 2 feet on the floor, your 2 hands in contact with each other, or maybe a little bit of a tug here or a stretch there, or maybe you have a muscle or muscles that are starting to sing a little bit. So simply feeling those feelings is embodiment. Now with the next exhale, tipping your hips, bring your elbow to knee, hand on your hip. So now let's talk a little bit about alignment. So with your belly, chest, and nose facing straight ahead, keeping that straight ahead alignment of your torso as you bring awareness now to your back leg, left leg, and then spiral that leg internally. And this builds on what we did Thursday night and then especially Friday morning, work with fascia. Couple more breaths here. Keeping that back leg spiraling in as you inhale, come up, and back toward the front. Second side, turn your right foot in and your left foot out. Exhale, bending, knee goes straight to the side. Pausing there. Bring your hands into prayer position. And asking the open-ended question, In my body, what do I feel? And yes, it's really common that our mind goes to, what should I feel? Is that right? I don't want to do it wrong. And that's so sweetly well-intentioned. I do the same thing all the time. But the next out breath, best you can, let that fall away. And the simplicity of feeling whatever you may feel. Now with the next out breath, tip your hips, such that elbow to knee, hand on the hip. So that was a focus on a body. So now we take a little side trip to align. So keeping your belly, chest, and nose facing straight ahead. As you take your back leg, right leg, and spiral it in. And maybe that doesn't feel like much anything. Maybe that feels very different than what you did previously. Whatever you may or may not feel in your body, the open-ended question, openness to feel your body. Like a surfer rides a wave, the surfer waits for the wave to come. Wait for your next in-breath and ride that in-breath up. Turning back to the middle, still facing the middle, stepping your feet together. Interlacing your hands. Bring your palms forward. And with that same open-ended question, open to feelings in the body, slowly, slowly straighten your elbows until you start to feel something. And rather than me telling you what that something is or should be, relax your mind, soft gaze, and simply feeling whatever you feel, whether it's in your shoulders, your palms, your wrists, or your forearms. Direct the next inhale into your back ribs, broaden your back ribs. Then exhale, gently push the air out as you raise your palms up. And steady breathing here. So it's not uncommon that there's a whole symphony of sensations in this position right here. Full deep inhale. Exhale, lowering your arms down. And then we'll use a sun salutation to make our way to the floor. Exhale, both arms up. Inhale, folding forward. Exhale, gorilla. And then with the inhale, stepping your feet back, way back to dog pose. Part of dog pose is letting your head hang. And we'll take a few breaths here. Again, feeling whatever you feel, whether it's primarily your hands on the floor or your feet on the floor. Maybe a little fatigue has already started to creep in your arms or shoulders. Or maybe it's a little bit of tug in your legs or your hips. Full deep inhale. And exhale, coming down. So setting up for a knee push-up. That's where knees, hips, shoulders are all aligned. And not only knees, hips, shoulders, but also your neck and head in that same line. Then with the inhale, coming down. Exhale, pushing up. 2 more, going to do 3. Feeling whatever you may feel from these knee push-ups. Then turning your toes under. Lifting your knees and hips, moving into dog pose. Directing the inhale into your back. Exhale, gorilla. We worked a lot on gorilla in some of the classes earlier this week, generating thoracic extension. There's a little bit of that alignment component. Then inhale, folding. Pick all the cat hair off your knee. Exhale all the way up. Inhale, arms down. Big old wide stride. Turn your left foot in and your right foot out. Use the exhale to bend that knee straight out toward the side. Keeping your knee bent, bring your hands into prayer position. So we've talked a lot about embody, a little bit about alignment. Now to talk more about the breath. Lightly press the exhale out. You can breathe out through your nose or your mouth. Really, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Direct the inhale into your back ribs. So the reason for these cues in the breath is to use your breathing to help align your torso. Now with the next exhale, tipping your hips, but instead of bringing your elbow to your knee, bring your hand to your shin. So belly, chest, nose facing straight ahead. Keeping that orientation as you now take your back leg, left thigh, and turn it in. Keep it turning in as you reach left arm forward. Sweeping your left arm through. Feeling whatever you feel. Right, the inhale up. Turning back to the front, still facing the front. Stepping your feet together. So having done side angle to one side, not yet the other side, we'll take a moment here, checking in with your body, see if the two sides feel the same, if they feel different. Embodying. So talk a little bit more about why embodiment is such a powerful way to work with feelings. Stepping your feet apart. Second side here, turn your right foot in and your left foot out. Exhale, bending. Bring your hands into prayer position. So to expand a bit on the out breath, it's not just lightly encouraging that exhale out. Importantly, it's about knitting your ribs and keeping those lower ribs connected to your belly as you inhale. And in terms of realigning the spine to help create healthier lower back, healthier neck, knitting the ribs is kind of the secret sauce. So that deeper breathing using the breath to help align your torso. Exhale, tip your hips. Bypassing elbow to knee, bring hand to shin. Couple breaths here. Hand lightly holding shin as you reach now your right hand forward. Sweep that right arm through. Steady breathing. Right, the inhale up. Turning back to the front, stepping your feet together. So Colette talked a little bit about posture. So we have our feet on the floor. And remember how you rolled up to stand tall. So to continue working with posture, take your shoulders a little bit up, a little bit back, and a little bit down. Now this is really kind of difficult territory in terms of embodying, because more often than not posturally, our brain is telling the body what to do, rather than that bidirectionally, experiencing the body, feeling the body. So it could be as simple as simply feeling your feet on the floor, the temperature of your mat, or whatever surface you're practicing upon. It could be simply the skin, your bare skin, feeling the temperature of the room. Or maybe there are other sensations in your body, feeling those sensations. So that quality of curiosity to help facilitate embodiment, partial sun salutation. Exhale, arms up, let your chin float up a little bit too to open up your throat. Inhale, folding. Exhale, gorilla. Inhale, dog pose. Again, a couple breaths here, simply feeling whatever you feel, whether it's shoulders, legs, hips, or all of the above, or none of the above. Now with the next out breath, come down to your knees. So setting up for a knee push-up. We did 3 last time. Let's do 3 this time. So a little different breath this time. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale. Inhale. So last one for this set here, whatever you may feel, whether it's hands on the floor or your chest or your arms or your back or your knees on the floor. Exhale. Inhale. Turning your toes under and making your way back to dog pose. Use the next inhale to broaden your upper back. Exhale, stepping forward, gorilla. Inhale, folding. Exhale all the way up. Inhale, arms down. Big old wide stride toward the front. Both legs a little bit turned out. Exhale, bending. Inhale, straightening. Let's do 2 more like that. The next time knees in the bent position, pausing there. Bring your hands into prayer position. We're going to stay here no more than a minute. So right now, so much sadness, anger, frustration, confusion. So coming back to your body to help work with those feelings. The open-ended question, what am I feeling in my body? I'll talk a little bit more here in a moment, some of the theories of emotion that directly relate to embodiment. A few more breaths. I'm starting to feel a little something here in my thighs. Maybe you are too. Maybe you're feeling something different. Doesn't so much matter. Simply feeling your body is the essence of what we're doing. Inhale, coming up. Turning back to the front, stepping your feet together. Exhale, sweep both arms to the side and up. Inhale down. Exhale up. Inhale down. Exhale up. This time when your arms are up, holding there. Feeling whatever you feel. So for example, I'm feeling a little bit of something in my shoulders. Oddly enough, in my hands. And actually in my lower belly. It's not that I'm trying to engage my lower belly or reach up and out of my lower belly. I just happen to be feeling something. So take a few moments quietly to feel in your body whatever you may be feeling. And then with the next exhale, releasing your arms and resting your mind. Partial sun salutation to make your way to the floor. Exhale, arms up. Inhale, fold. Exhale, gorilla. Inhale, dog pose. Exhale, come down to your knees, setting up for a half push-up, a knee push-up. You could sit this one out if you want. If you're going to practice, we're going to do 3 here. Check to see that knees, hips, shoulders, ears are lined up. And then inhale down. Exhale up. 2 more. Last one. Making your way back to dog pose. And then coming down. So sitting in a simple cross legs, crisscross applesauce. Then what we're going to do is a spinal twist to the right. Bring your left hand across, your right hand behind, and simply twist to your right. And feeling your body. Couple more breaths here. And back in toward the center. There's a theory of emotion called the James Lang theory of emotion that says when we have an experience, we have a body reaction. And by feeling the body is how we process the emotion. Let's twist to the other side now. Twisting to your left. Right hand comes across. Left hand behind. Hello, honesty, it's mixed evidence supporting the James Lang theory of emotion. But many theories of emotion do include the body. So whether it's working out like we do in 20-20-20, or Pilates classes, or embody, align, breathe, what I used to call yoga, a lot of the power is in feeling your body, as a result embodying, to help calm the mind and work with your emotions. Next exhale, coming back in. Leg cross, shifting up your leg cross. Let's twist to the right to the first side again. So in my body, I'm feeling a hand on a leg, a hand on a floor, a hand on the floor. And I'm feeling the 2 sitting bones. Then in my torso, neck, and head, I'm feeling all this other stuff. So we'll take a few more moments here for you to ask the open-ended question. What am I feeling in my body? Exhale, come on back in toward the middle. Maybe you feel the same thing on the second side, but second side often feels entirely different apples and oranges from the first side. Now, sometimes it can be useful to work with imbalances. That would be the alignment part. But sometimes most of the benefit is just simply to feel the body, to feel the perceived imbalance, and leave it at that. Couple more breaths here. And then coming back toward the middle. Taking your feet forward in front of you. So one of the other theories of emotion is suggesting that it's about salience. It's about directing your attention to what needs your attention. Big deep inhale. Exhale, reach your arms up. Inhale, stretching forward. Hands maybe come to your shins or your ankles or your feet. So we can use this position here as a sensation generator. So it's very easy to look at this and go, those darn hamstrings are so tight. What's wrong with them? What's wrong with me? So exploring a perceptual shift is letting whatever sensation arises, whether it's hamstrings or backs of your knees or maybe a stretch in your back, that those sensations are the purpose of these positions. A few more breaths here, simply feeling whatever you may feel. And then with the next exhale coming up. And transitioning onto your belly. So a little different ordering here. So on your belly, bring your hands right next to your ribs. Touch your heels together, a la Mary Poppins. And then generate length. Reach your toes back behind you. At the same time, the crown of your head forward in front of you. Then in one fell swoop, or more accurately, one exhale. Exhale, moving into locust. That's where your head and chest come up and your legs come up. We'll hold here for a few breaths. Using the position to create sensations in your body. And using those sensations as the object of meditation. And with the next inhale, coming down. Exhale, pushing up. And then back to dog pose. Last dog pose of the session. Just a few breaths here. Sometimes the main thing I'll feel in dog pose is just that there's a lot of blood in my head. And then coming down and resting on your back. So it can be really tempting for any of these practices, whether meditation or yoga or Pilates, that we're looking for happiness, which is so natural. Perhaps more powerfully, we can use these practices to be present with things as they are. And if those things as they are, we feel happy about it, noticing that experience. Or if we feel sad about things as they are, being present with those feelings. So we explore it a bit with the body, feeling your body as it is, as an invitation to be with your feelings as they are. We'll take the next 1 minute quietly to explore feeling your body, feeling emotions as they are. And if you've closed your eyes, now opening your eyes. And then as you feel ready, coming up to sitting. So thank you all for joining us this morning with Half and Half. If you enjoyed the class, please feel free to share with your friends. We're committed to offering this class for free so that everyone may access practices about integrating mind and body. We're similarly motivated to make these accessible and available by our Pay What You Can program. We offer 14 classes a week each week, plus special pop-up classes. And we offer a subscription plan where you have unlimited access to all those classes, and that's normally $95 a month. And if you know people or yourself or perhaps furloughed or reduced hours or perhaps lost your job, we have a pay what you can option for that subscription. So please check out pilatesonharrison.com for details on that. Before we close, any questions in the chat box?
From standing, what is the best movement to reach down and pick up something off the floor using our new breathing style?
Yeah, from standing, what is the best method to reach down and grab something from the floor? The answer would be it depends how heavy that object is. If the object has really much weight to it at all, it's really best to bend with your knees and your hips and to keep your spine pretty neutral. If it's a pretty light object, then it's always good to bend your knees and your hips. And it's a natural movement of the spine to round. And so it's perfectly okay to let your spine round a bit. In yoga, we got really hung up that the spine can never round. We can only fold for the hips, and that caused all sorts of other problems. So in general, bend from your hips and use the power of your hips and knees, but it's okay to let your spine round, especially when items are pretty lightweight. Great question. Thank you for joining us, and may your weekend be rich and full.